Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Couch Thoughts podcast. Brand new podcast here. We're going to talk about, mainly going to focus on video games, movies, old movies that we like. Might throw some sports in there, but the main idea of this podcast is we're just going to, whatever we want to talk about during the week, we're going to make that happen. I'm Rocky Persinger. Joining me, Brent Pickens.
How you doing, Rocky?
What's up, Brent? So, we're going to start out with kind of the our inspiration to start this whole podcast. And there's a new game that just came out called Detroit Become Human, and it's from a game development studio called Quantic Dream. And Brent and I have been fans of theirs for many years. Their creative visionary there is David Cage. They've made several games now, and we're just going to kind of go through their whole catalog of games and kind of see how it goes. So I guess first, they've had several games. They had Indigo Prophecy back on the PlayStation 2. And then they had Heavy Rain was their next game. Great game. Then they had Beyond Two Souls. And then finally Detroit Become Human. So first off, Brent, why don't you tell us how you came across this Quantic Dream game?
Man, I think it was in like 2000, 2002 era, around there. I think it was released in like 99. Wasn't it?
Well, let's see. No, it'd be around 2005.
2005. Okay, well, I was way off. Anyway, I'm a big GameStop guy. I always go in there, and because there's a lot of games that that you don't see them advertised. You don't see them on the at the shelf at Walmart.
Right, people trade them in.
Right, and I never seen anything. Well, the writing and everything just caught me, because I'm going through them, and I'm like, well, what's this? I flip over the back of it, and I'm like, this is, it kind of on the back it tells you, it's branching store. You make the choices.
Yeah, we got the game here. I still have my copy on PS2. So Brent's looking back over the back of it, just like he did in GameStop back in 2005, 2006.
Man, and I will tell you, on PlayStation 2, this was probably, I think I got it. I mean, I see that you got it for $10. I didn't pay more than $15 for it.
Yeah,
I know I didn't.
It's not a popular game. Nobody really knew about it.
It's not, but through PS2, I mean, that's probably one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you get to decide, you get to make the decisions, and it changes your story. And I mean, the opening scene, you're passed out on the commode with blood dripping down, and you got minutes to hide the body, clean up the blood, wash your hands.
For those who don't know, we're talking about these games just to get the awareness out for them, because a lot of people, we got this PS4 game, Detroit Become Human. Me and Brent are, hyped for it for years that it's coming out. And we finally get it, and we're talking to all of our friends like, "Hey guys, are you playing the new Quantic Dream game? Have you, And they're like, "What's that? What are you talking about?"
No one knows.
No one really knows about these games. I'm sure if somebody's listening here and you enjoy these games, let us know. But it's just one of those things. It was our game. It was kind of me and Brent. Our friend Steve, we let him borrow it. It was our game that we really liked, and just so to introduce people to this series, the games are more like an interactive movie.
Oh yeah.
It's you're kind of watching stuff play out, but you have to it's like an interactive cutscene basically. You have to press certain buttons at certain times, and before Indigo Prophecy, I had never played a game like that.
No, it was the first I ever played like that, and it really keeps you on your toes. And if you go from Indigo Prophecy to Detroit, if you can get Indigo Prophecy on the PS4 as a PlayStation 2 they have or games, PlayStation 2 games where you can buy, which I was
PS2
really
on PS4. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was really surprised it was on there because it wasn't, to me, it wasn't a very popular game that I knew of. But if you do go back and play it, just get ready because those controls, they you got to be on your toes.
Yeah. So let's just start at the beginning of the game here. So the beginning of the game, the story is really vague. It's a really creepy game.
It is.
So you start out in this. The game starts out in this diner, and it's a really wintry, weather outside. There's like 12 feet of snow on the ground, and so you're kind of. It puts you in that mood right away.
Oh yeah.
It's this diner in the middle of. You don't know if it's New York City, Chicago, where you're at, but I always kind of envisioned it was New York City.
Yeah, me too.
And so it puts you in this like eerie mood, and so you start out in this diner, and your main character right off is sitting in the bathroom stall with blood all over their hands and a knife in their hands, and they're having some kind of spasm that you don't really know what it is. So then you kind of wake up. You're in this trance and you end up killing a guy in the bathroom. And that's where the game takes off. So what happens is there's a police officer sitting out in the diner and you're in the bathroom having just killed a guy. You snap out of this trance, not even realizing you did it. So then the game kind of throws you in there and you have to, hide the knife, pick up a mop, sweep up the blood that's there, hide the body, do all this stuff before this cop walks down and catches you.
Oh.
And then, Brent and I were playing it the other night.
Yeah.
And it's really, so depending on what choices you make, you have a different experience with the game. So the game kind of, the story branches in several paths depending on what decisions you make. That's a little less true with Indigo Prophecy. It kind of, it's just, you get a game over screen.
Right, yeah.
But, we were talking about, okay, well, I hid the knife, but then you can go back out to your table and pay your bill or not, or talk to the waitress or not. And, I had always just ran out the back door.
See, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, and Brent didn't even know you could do that. So, it turned out that, he always goes over, pays his bill, and walks out the front door. When I just, I jet out the back door. So, there's all these different kinds of things that can happen in the game. So then once you playing as the character who just killed a guy escapes, then it flashes forward to that night and you play as a detective that's investigating the murder you just committed.
Yep.
Which is, so right off, it puts you in this mood. Never played a game like that before,
No, I mean it.
And it just really makes an impression. The first thing.
Thing I love about the series is, especially now with the PS4, Xbox One, they don't focus on the story anymore. It's all the multiplayer online, which that's fine. But me personally, I would take a great story over that any day, and that's what I love. What with Quantic Dreams have done with the 3 games. I mean, I don't know. I love what they've done with it, and the story. All 3 of the stories, they're really good.
And we say 3 because we haven't actually played Beyond Two Souls.
I played the demo. I don't know. I wasn't big on it.
Yeah. It just wasn't. It didn't really grab our attention like the others. And then with Detroit, they've kind of gone back to their roots.
They have. And I remember seeing Detroit at E3, and I was like, man, that is going to be an awesome game.
Yeah.
He's on the rooftop holding that kid hostage, and
for those who didn't see the E3 premiere of Detroit, it's the opening scene of the game. Also, the demo they came out with later.
Yep.
And there's this android. It's a future where androids exist, and this android has a little girl held hostage on a roof, and you go up and you're a hostage negotiator. You're also an android. So, and there's just many ways that can go.
Yeah, I mean, if you see it has a map of different ways. It's broke down into chapters, and it branches off. And I've played it through 2 full times now, and there's still so many possible outcomes, so many different outcomes that you can do. I mean, it's
yeah. So, but yeah, just back to Indigo Prophecy real quick though. I mean, this game's really groundbreaking. It's a lot of people. It's too much story. That it went. Brent was saying new games focus on the multiplayer and stuff like that. They don't focus on the story. For a lot of people, this is too far in the other direction. Yeah. So there's too much story for them. That's not the case for me, because I can sit there and enjoy the story, and it's kind of just a video game experience. It's not really a a straight up video game shooter type thing. But yeah, the game just gets really crazy at the end.
It gets intense. And I forgot all the different combinations. You got to be quick. I mean, you got to really be on your toes and be ready.
Yeah. So with the it shows your 2 analog sticks on the screen, and with the left one and the right one, you have to be doing press certain directions with both of your analog sticks as you're going. And sometimes it's it's like a left brain, right brain type of thing. You're trying to keep up with. Okay, I gotta push the left one to the right and the right one to the left, or whatever. It gets really challenging.
Well, even on the decisions that you make, like on Detroit, you actually have a little bit of time to decide.
Yeah.
On Indigo Prophecy, you have like maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I mean you gotta really be quick and on your toes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the game.
But it gets crazy. It is one of our favorite games of all time. We always look back on it. And it gets really crazy at the end. You get all these superpowers, and there's aliens around and all this stuff.
It's definitely out there.
But so one of our favorite inside jokes that we always tell. Brent, why don't you tell us about the pill bottle?
It's funny because Rocky, we played it the other night, and even this is probably 10 years later. It might be longer than that.
Yeah.
Well, like Rocky's playing it, he forgot all about it. Well, he remembered it, but anyway, if this is one of the only games I've ever seen do this, is if you take your medication, and then you take your your liquor, or wine or whatever's around. Your story, it fades to black. It's like this is where my story ends. That's the last time I'll mix medication with my alcohol, and he dies.
He just dies right in the middle of the story. So, and that's just 2 random things that are lying around your house. If you drink, I think it's gin. I think he has gin. If you drink the gin, and then you you take like headache medication with it, you die in the game. And that's been an inside joke with us for years, and that's how my story ends. That's the last time I'll mix medication with alcohol. And we always just say that at random, this is how my story ends. Anytime we die in a video game, really.
Yeah.
That's just one of those inside joke things that we have with the game. So a lot of good memories there with the game. I still love it to this day. It's still playable. It still holds up.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're on PS2 or get it on the PS4. All 4 of the games, which we haven't played Beyond Two Souls, but all 4 of the games you can get on PlayStation 4 now.
Yeah.
So you can buy Indigo Prophecy. I think in Europe it was called Fahrenheit, or Japan or somewhere. And then you can on PlayStation 4. So Fahrenheit, I believe, is available on Xbox and PS2. Indigo Prophecy, and then Heavy Rain and Forward, they David Cage made a deal with Sony, so they're PlayStation exclusives, but you can buy them all on PS4. So I'd recommend really getting all of them.
Oh, no doubt.
So Indigo Prophecy especially, I'd like to hear somebody's opinion that doesn't have the nostalgia with it that we do.
Yeah. It's just it blows my mind that no one. I mean, I talked to Adam Curry. He's a big gamer.
Yeah.
And he never heard of it, and he's like, I'll have to check that out. I never heard of Quantic Games, and I will say another thing about Indigo Prophecy. The thing that kind of sets it apart from the other ones, and I've never really seen a game do this, is you have a stress level.
Good point.
You have a stress level, and if you get too depressed, if you get down to where you're depressed, you'll kill yourself.
Yep.
Because you pick up, because in the game, him and his girlfriend broke up. Well, he's living in an apartment alone. Well, if you go through the apartment and you pick up a picture and look at it, it could bring him down. Or if you talk about the wrong thing, it brings your stuff. It brings your
your I don't know what you call it, your morale.
Yeah,
I guess it brings you have a morale meter.
Yeah, so and that's with there's 4 playable characters, and it's the same thing with all 4 of them. If you gotta kind of keep them kind of a medium, or they'll die. Which I've never. I don't know about you. I've never seen it on a game.
No, that wasn't done before, and I don't think it's really been done since. That's just David Cage is like a real visionary when it comes to video games. He looks at it differently than other people look at it.
Yeah.
Another, we were playing at the Indigo Prophecy the other night, and you have these hallucinations with these bugs. And these bugs are chasing you, and the damn thing is near impossible to beat. And this is just like an hour into the game. So there's just a lot of little things like that we remember with Indigo Prophecy, and it's just a really, really great game. So then we wait. So Indigo Prophecy comes out in 2005. And then we have to wait 5 years until we get Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain on the PS3, really touted. I think Heavy Rain's probably the most known game of the Quantic Dream games.
And it really showed off their graphics. Because I remember when the PS3, the demo come out, and we always joke. I'll call him John Goodman. Because the detective, he reminds me of John Goodman.
Yeah, there's a character in the game he's a fat detective. He looks exactly like John Goodman.
But the demo, and this is what I can't tell you how many times I played this demo because I was so excited for this game. You're basically a detective. It's raining out. I mean, just a typical Quantic Dream game. It's
all about mood.
Yeah, the mood is set. I mean, it's dark. You're in the bad part of town. You're searching for answers. You go into this this rundown apartment. You go up. You're talking to this girl. You're trying to get answers about these missing kids, and this guy breaks in, he kicks the door down, and you get into a fight, and you gotta move the analog a certain way, and
press buttons, move the analogs, and it all these prompts pop up on screen.
Yeah, and you gotta be quick, and I don't know, that was a really good story. It was I don't know, it was a really good game.
Yeah, so the premise of that game is there's a serial killer going around taking children, and he's called the Origami Killer because he leaves origami at each of the crime scenes where the kids are taken. And I don't know, Brent, if you've ever seen Blade Runner.
Mm-mm.
But so Blade Runner, really great movie. You should watch it. Harrison Ford, back in the in the 80s. It's about dystopian future, and it's kind of funny because Detroit reminds me of Blade Runner, because in Blade Runner, there are androids and there are humans, and you can't tell the difference between the two.
Oh.
And it's the whole movie's about, you know, what is human, because these androids, they have, in Blade Runner, they have memories implanted into them from other people. It's like other people's memories implanted into them. So, you know, if they have there's a big question of if they have those memories, are they alive? You know, they have feelings. You know, so it's about, you know, what is an android? What makes somebody human? Stuff like that. But so there's a character in there that leaves origami throughout the whole movie. So that David Cage has been really influenced by Blade Runner, because, you know, Blade Runner, it's really dark. Like the whole movie is really dark. It's this like dystopian future. In the new one, the Blade Runner 2049, it's all snowy and stuff. So
I'll have to check it out.
Blade Runner is a great movie. There's like 300 different versions of Blade Runner out there.
Really?
And yeah, because the director came back, and there's a theatrical cut, and it's got this voiceover from Harrison Ford in it, where he kind of explains the movie to you. And then there's like the director's cut where he took that out of it. And then there's like an ultimate cut that just came out like not too long ago. So the director keeps messing with it, but David Cage, obviously influenced by Blade Runner with the origami and Heavy Rain, and also just the rain and everything. But that's a big... It's kind of a little thing that you'll miss in Blade Runner if you don't really look at it too much. But anyway, really great movie. If nobody's ever seen Blade Runner, it didn't really do very good when it came out. But go! I bought it on Amazon Video. It was like $6 or something. Really, really good movie. But yeah, so in Heavy Rain, there's the origami killer. We're probably gonna spoil this game.
Yeah,
because we can't really talk about it without really spoiling.
But honestly, if you haven't played it yet, you're probably not going to.
Well, or if you honestly, if you want to play Heavy Rain, you haven't. I'm not afraid to tell you. Just pause the podcast now, or just hop off the podcast, because we're probably going to spoil it. We didn't spoil Indigo Prophecy because we couldn't really remember the ending.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
That game's out there. I mean, aliens. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on.
But in this game, so you start out as the father character, I guess, and you're walking through the street with your kid, and then all of a sudden she kind of disappears.
Well, you're at the mall.
You're at the mall.
I remember because you're chasing her. You're chasing her, trying to catch up to her, and there's all these damn balloons.
That's right. Yeah, she's holding a balloon, right? Yep. And then there's all these balloons you got to run up to and try to get them.
Yeah.
Where Indigo Prophecy had kind of, if you went the wrong direction, it was game over, right?
Yeah.
Well, Heavy Rain, it's a branching story, but it's not really too branching.
No, it don't. I mean, it don't change a whole lot. I mean, the only thing you can really lose is character. Your character can die.
Yeah.
But it don't let you. It don't have those different, branching.
Yeah.
Well, if you do this, then it's going to change outcome over here.
Yeah.
Because from chapter to chapter, it don't matter what you do. It's still going to be the same.
Right. Yeah. It all comes back together. But so so this father loses his daughter. It's assumed she is taken by the origami killer, which all these kids are disappearing and stuff. I was just reading the back of the game here. So you're 4 different people in the game. There's the dad character, and then there's a detective, a skinny detective that's working for the police, and he's investigating the origami killer. Then there's a private investigator. That's the John Goodman character, who's going around kind of investigating stuff separately. And then there's the female character.
That's Paige, isn't it?
Paige. So you're gonna have to refresh my memory a little bit about about Paige.
Okay, she, like I said, it's been a while since I played it, but she was a photographer. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
But I do remember, like, I'm pretty sure she was a photographer, but she was suffering from where she could insomnia.
Yeah.
And because I remember you're in her apartment, and she's trying to figure stuff out, and she's facing her own demons and stuff. Well, I remember you're in her apartment. It's like 3 a.m. Well, you're trying to maybe she's an author or something. I can't remember. But she's either writing a book or trying to get this to go together. And all of a sudden, like these 4 people break into her house, and it looks like they're trying to kidnap her. She's, you're trying to fight them off and do all this, and like, no matter what you do, they end up getting you down, and they go to stab you, and then you wake up. It was all a dream.
Yeah.
So she's facing her own issues.
Yeah, and so it ends up with all 4 of these characters kind of go together, and they're looking for this serial killer. The whole game is you're trying to figure out who the serial killer is.
Right.
And and the dad character, I forget his name, but he's getting taunted by the serial killer. Basically, he keeps.
Before you go there, I gotta say this before I forget.
Sure.
You lose one of them at the mall, but you're at the park with your son. I don't know if it's the other son. It might be the other son. I can't remember. But you're at the park. You ask him if he wants candy or something. You go over and get candy. You turn around. He's gone.
Yeah.
Well, then you're searching anyway. You block out, and the detective shows up, and he asks why it's been so long, why you waited so long to report him missing. Well, then here's a pretty key thing. He asked what he was wearing. So, like, you really have to watch when you're playing it, because if you don't give him the right description, then you become a suspect later in the game. So you really got to pay attention to details like that.
Oh, so okay, back to Indigo Prophecy real quick. That reminded me of
I forgot
giving a description to the police, right? So, there's in the Indigo Prophecy, you play the detective that's investigating the murder in the diner, and so this lady comes in. She saw it's the waitress at the diner. She comes in, and you're asking her what the guy looks like that committed the murder. Well, you take over, and you can choose like different hair, different ears, different nose, and a different mouth, right?
Yep.
And you take over with this notepad, and you have to match the description of the guy that you played as, first. So you know what he looks like, you know what he looks like, but you kind of can't remember, and it's kind of PlayStation 2 graphics, so you don't really know. So, we're playing it the other night, and I put this sketch together, and I'm like, well, that looks exactly like that son of a bitch. And then, so I hit X. I'm like, oh, this is all good, right? And then I fail it completely because it says it looks nothing like the guy.
It said like 10% like him. Or
something. And I just finished playing a scene with that guy that I was trying to match, and could not remember what the hell he looked like.
The thing is, I want to see somebody do that and get it 100%. I don't.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a video on YouTube that shows the 100% likeness on Indigo Prophecy.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Or the 3 people that played Indigo Prophecy, but. So Heavy Rain, you go through this whole story. The detectives investigating stuff. The dad and Paige are kind of in and out with each other.
Yeah, they both have their secrets. So, and then the more comfortable they get with each other, you can decide to tell her the truth of what happened.
Well, and you know the big thing about the game is you're never really sure who the killer is.
No, not till toward the end, and it shows you.
Yeah, and it shows you how it all went down. So you're suspecting all these people, really, or you're suspecting it's just some random person that's not in the story.
Right? Yeah. You don't expect one of the characters.
So it all comes. You know, the dad is getting taunted by this serial killer, right? He's getting all these notes and shit. Well, he ends up in like this abandoned house, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then you're in this room, and you have a choice, right? You can. The killer basically tells you he's like, he gives you a knife or it's a little hatchet. What was it?
Well, there's 3 or 4 things laying around.
That's
the room.
right.
There's scissors. There's a pair of side cutters.
Yep.
There's a saw. There's a hatchet.
Yeah, see, that's why I think I used the hatchet. So the killer basically tells you, okay, you need to chop off one of your fingers right now, or I'm going to kill your kid. Yep. Right. Yep. So you're sitting there and you make this decision of whether or not you're going to chop your own hand off, basically. And how to do it.
And you don't have to do it.
You don't have to do it.
But there's a chance he would kill your child.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and you know, there's a little iPad that pops up. You hit play, and he's like, "How far will you go to live? How far will you go to save your son?"
Well, and see, so that's on the back of the box here. I was reading. That's kind of the in a terrorized city, the hunt for a child will lead 4 unconnected people to ask the same question: How far would you go to stop a killer?
Yep.
Play all 4 roles in the psychological thriller where every action you take has consequences. Not exactly true, but that's how they marketed the game, so good on them. How this story unfolds is entirely up to you. Also not entirely true, but it does have, you know, it all comes together at the end, and there's just a few decisions at the end that really, it decides who lives, who dies.
Yeah.
You know, so there are a lot of different outcomes but you have to play through the whole game before that really, you know, comes together. And you know, when we talk about Detroit, that'll be a little different.
Yeah. There's just so many, like when you're in there, and after you if you choose to cut a finger off, then you gotta find a way to stop your bleeding so you don't die.
Yeah.
So you can cauterize the wound. You know, you heat up this iron. And you know, you got to keep tapping the buttons harder and harder to do it. And even when you're cutting your hand out, your hand's on the table and you're tapping it, and he's fighting. You know, he don't want to do it.
He doesn't want to do it.
But he knows he has to. And that killer keeps terrorizing you. Like there's one where you have to decide if he's like, how far will you go to save your son? And you're in a car and you have to go down the interstate on the wrong side. And you're tapping buttons.
That's right. You're weaving in and out.
Yeah. And there's another one where you're in this abandoned warehouse, and you have to crawl through this ventilation shaft, but there's glass everywhere, so you have to crawl through glass. And at the end, when you get into it, I think there's like electric wires and stuff, and you have to crawl through those, and you're getting shocked and. You just have to decide, how far,
Yeah, and you can give up at any time and just say screw it, and then your kid probably dies. So.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy all the stuff you have to go through. There's options where Paige and the dad have like romantic relationship. You can not do that, just depending on how you're how strong your bond is with that player, depending on which dialogue choices you make, stuff like that. So it all gets to the end basically, and these 4 characters are coming together. You still don't know who the killer is exactly, but they're all coming together at this one place. And I seem to think it was like a junkyard or something.
Well, it is, but before that, you find out who the killer was in the apartment.
That's right.
Paige, and you line some stuff up, and you go in, and you're going through the secret room and you find all this information showing that that the John Goodman guy is the killer.
That's the big reveal of the whole game, and that's the big spoiler here, is the John Goodman private investigator character is the killer.
Yeah.
He's the one that's been taking all these kids and everything. Yeah, and you it's kind of like a Silence of the Lambs type thing. You roll up in his his little secret room and find out who he is. So then the four characters come together, and the thing is, you played as that character, the John Goodman character.
Yeah.
You played as him the whole game, and you think back at the game and you realize, well, shit, I helped him hide this kid, without even realize. I helped him get away with this murder, or not get away with it.
But they do show his backstory and what happened. I will say, like, that it was really sad, because when they were kids, his dad was an alcoholic. They lived in a trailer. Well, they were outside playing, and his brother was trying to get a ball or something out of the grate, and he fell in there, and he got stuck.
That's right.
And the water, it was real. That's kind of where they play on heavy rain. It was raining and raining, and
that's right.
He was holding his brother, trying to get him out, and he couldn't get him out. So he sat there and held his brother while he died. So that was kind of his whole MO, and why he did that,
right?
And back to the apartment. If you go back to that, when Paige found out that it was him, he comes back, he catches her. So he locks her into that hidden room.
Right, so that's where the whole Silence of the Lambs thing kind of comes in. Yeah.
And he lights it on fire. Well, then you switch back over to Paige, and you have to get out of there before it burns up. And that was an intense scene.
Intense.
Because, I died a few times on that.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out how you get out of the room, what buttons you need to push, where you need to go, stuff like that. And then, there's always... stuff like you got to mash the X button a ton of times and all this stuff, and it gets to where it's kind of like, I don't know, at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, if anybody's played that, you have to smash X for like a half an hour in this through this damn hallway.
It's crawling. It's the slowest crawl ever.
Yeah, which we might talk about the Metal Gear Solid series one day. Brent's not really played a whole lot of them, but I got them over here on the shelf. So, that was basically the big twist in that game. You find out the character that you've been helping along the way is a serial killer the whole time. And then there's certain decisions you make that depends on who lives and who dies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then at the end, when you're at the junkyard or whatever it is, depending on how you played it, if you answered it wrong, then they don't suspect the John Goodman character. They suspect the father.
Yep.
And my playthrough, I messed up a couple times, and I ended up getting killed as the father.
Yeah.
They shot me because they thought I was the one that was the origami killer.
Yeah.
So
See, and I'm pretty sure that the father died, but they caught John Goodman. I think that was my ending.
Yeah.
But there's a million different ways it can go, depending on how much you investigate, how much you get right, the decisions you make, everything like that. So, that's kind of Heavy Rain. Really great game. Probably the most well-known Quantic Dream game from David Cage. I just highly, highly recommend you play it. The graphics still look good.
Oh, yeah.
The graphics are still great. It's PS3 graphics, but it's like the height of what the PS3 can do.
Yeah.
It is really, really up there. So, and I've got all these games here, stacking them up. But so then, Beyond Two Souls comes out in 2013. Now, 2013 was kind of some years where I wasn't really playing video games a whole lot. I just got out of college and was working. We're working where Brent works now, but I wasn't really playing a whole lot of video games. And I saw the trailer for Beyond Two Souls, and it just didn't really interest me.
I remember trying the demo, and I just it's kind of a telepathic. You're you're this girl, and you're stuck in. I guess they're trying to figure out powers, trying to figure out what you can do. And I do remember Trent, my oldest son, actually, he was playing it, and I played with him a little bit, but I just couldn't get into it. And I don't know, it just didn't have, to me, it didn't have the Quantic Dream feel. It just didn't have.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird game. Not critics slammed it. It was not a very good game, but I might. I keep on saying I might go back and give it a chance just because it's a David Cage game. And, so we didn't play that a lot. So then around the time that Heavy Rain comes out, we start getting kind of some other games that do stuff like this, like the Telltale games, Back to the Future, Walking Dead, stuff like that. We also, a couple years ago, got the game that me and you were thinking about, where it's like a horror game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Friday the 13th type thing, where this Jason type character is chasing you through the woods. That was not made by Quantic Dream, but it's a really close copy, and it's a real good game.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that damn thing right now, but anyway, so and there is actually a collection on the PS4 that has enhanced versions of Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. I just looked at
actually, I think that's what I bought.
Is that what you bought?
When I bought because I bought Heavy Rain on PS4 again.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's what I got. I just couldn't get on Beyond. I couldn't get into Beyond Two Souls.
I think it's a pretty short game. I think we just need to play it.
Yeah.
So then it. So we haven't really played a Quantic Dream game since 2010 when Heavy Rain came out, and that was a pre-order purchase. We're a line of two standing outside GameStop waiting on them to open to get Heavy Rain.
Yep.
Nobody else really gave a shit until it came out and got some good reviews and stuff and the graphics. So 2010, then we wait 6-7 years later. I think it was E3 2016 when they had the Detroit demo there of and this one I'll remember a little better because I just played it. But so Detroit, the newest Quantic Dream game, we're all hyped up for it. It's like it's going to be awesome. The graphics are like really pushing so Heavy Rain pushed the PS3. Now Detroit's pushing the PS4.
Yeah. I mean, it pushed it. I mean, it. And next to God of War, I mean, and I know it's a completely different thing, but Detroit, I mean, to me, it's by far one of the best graphics on the PS4 I've seen.
Yep.
I was impressed. Yeah, I really was impressed.
So, Detroit's coming out. We're really excited. So then we finally got it there a couple weeks ago. We start playing it. The first scene is the demo that you're playing. So this android, the premise of the story is, there's these androids around, and they're basically slaves to humans. They basically do everything that humans want them to do. Well, then they start, kind of becoming alive, I guess you could say. So there's this android who has like snapped. He's gone crazy, and he's standing on the edge of a tall building with this little girl, and he's got a gun to her head. And you show up as Connor, right? It's Connor.
Yep.
You show up as Connor, another android who they've sent in to be the hostage negotiator. And you see right off, you show up to the thing, you talk to the police chief, and he's like, "Oh, they sent this android here. I don't want, you take your android. I need a human negotiating with this hostage." So it's kind of like it's a metaphor for racism, racism and inequality. But these androids are really discriminated against. So you're kind of a detective, and you got this scan feature. You can scan your surroundings, and you kind of look around the apartment for clues as to what can happen. And that is where one of the coolest features of the game comes through in the reconstructions.
Oh, it's awesome.
So you look around the apartment for clues, and then you can scan stuff to digitally recreate what happened. So I just thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
You kind of fast forward and rewind and look at it,
and then you find clues in that. Like on one of them, he drops the gun. Well, you can't find the gun unless you you reconstruct the
Right.
scene,
Right.
And then you see it falls under the table, and then you can decide to take it with you. See, androids aren't supposed to have guns or anything like that, so
yeah, you can decide to pick up the gun, put it in your back pocket, leave the gun there. There's a million different choices of stuff to do. So you go around, you recreate, you kind of figure out what happens. Basically the android kind of finds out he's getting replaced, I think, and then so that gives him he's really pissed off that he's getting replaced. So he kind of snaps, kills like the most of the family except the little girl, and he kills like a cop. And all this stuff, and he snapped. So they send you. So you go around, you get all these clues together, right? And so I think both Brent and I picked up the gun.
The first time I didn't pick it up.
Oh, you didn't pick it up at all?
I left it there.
See, so I picked it up. Your second playthrough, you picked it up.
Second playthrough, I picked it up and executed him.
Yeah. So okay. So you go out and you start talking to him, the android, the rogue android, and so there's a million different ways it can go, and he asked you if you're lying to him, all this stuff. And so he asked you if you have a gun. And if you don't have the gun, you can say, oh no, I don't have a gun, whatever. If you have the gun, you can lie to him and tell him you don't have a gun.
Yep.
Or you can tell him the truth and set the gun down. So on my first playthrough, that's what I did. I picked up the gun, but then I told him the truth and said, yeah, I've got a gun, I'll set it down. And then that gained, positive points with him. Well, Brent chose on his second playthrough, chose to lie to him.
Yep.
and tell him he didn't have the gun. So he kept the gun, right? So then there's some stuff that comes in, like a helicopter comes in. You can wave them off or leave them there. There's snipers on the roof, which I still haven't found out how to get rid of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
see, when I pulled the gun out on him, it gives you the option. You can either try to try to intimidate him to drop it. Well, I didn't do that. I just shot him. But
so there's all these outcomes, like the rogue android could get killed. The rogue android and the little girl can get killed. All three characters get killed. Just Connor gets killed. Like there's or Connor and the rogue android die and the little girl lives. Like depending on how you play your dialogue choices is depending on how that happens. Well, in my first playthrough, so I told him I had the gun. I put it down. I waved off the helicopter. I'm like, okay, you guys get out of here. And then he's like, you got to swear to me that once I let this little girl go, I won't get killed. And you're like, I promise I wouldn't lie to you.
Yep.
Well, then he lets the little girl go, and they shoot him straight in the head.
Yeah,
and there's blue blood everywhere. These androids bleed blue blood. So that's how mine went. Brent, you had a couple different outcomes there.
Yeah, the first time. What happened the first time? Well, the second time he
the second time Brent shot him in the head.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the sniper do it.
Well, the first time I think ours kind of turned out the same because I saved the girl and I got his trust. I got close enough, and then the sniper shot him. So it was basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you can wait if the actions you choose, if the snipers you
the only thing I could think of is you walk all the way up to him.
Yeah.
And then you're so close that the snipers can't shoot because they're afraid they'll shoot you too.
Yeah.
Or they'll shoot the little girl or something, right? Yeah. So, But anyway, so this is just the first scene we're talking about here. And there's 100 different ways it can go.
Yeah.
And then depending on that, so Connor could die right there, and you could not have the rest of the storyline in the entire game with Connor.
Well, I think Connor, though, were for some reason, they keep bringing him back.
That's true, yeah. They would brought him back.
But I'm not sure why, because if you're Kara, and she dies, she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know why. Because that girl that Anna or whatever,
yeah,
that put you, because you're Connor and you're the one investigating the deviant androids, which are the androids that kind of got tired of their human shit.
Yeah,
beating them and doing stuff. So they decide to upright. Well, we're not gonna put up with this shit anymore. And that was another one that when you're Kara, which was kind of uneasy.
Kara's the next. That's the next character you play, right?
Yeah.
So you get done with this hostage negotiation scene, and then it switches to Kara.
Yeah, which you're in like an android place where you buy them, like a convenience store, basically.
Yeah, people.
But for some reason, all the shadiest people have $8,000 to buy an android.
Yeah, this didn't really make sense. There's this single dad.
And he's shady as hell.
He's shady as fuck. He lives in this shithole of an apartment. Right?
Yes. Well, house, but...
a house. Yeah, this terrible house. But he still has money to go buy this android. Not only that, you find out that he had the android in the first place, beat the hell out of it, and then got it repaired. So he had enough money to buy it and get it repaired. I don't know where he got this money.
I don't know. And he is an awful person.
So you get repaired, he takes you home, basically.
Yep.
And this is where it gets kind of uneasy, which I think is what you were going with.
Yeah, I mean, he walks in and he has a little daughter. She's probably 7 or 8. And he's like, where's that little bitch at? And this and that. So he's like, well, you need to clean this up. So you're cleaning the house. You're doing all this. Well, you go up, when you get the first floor cleaned up, you go upstairs, and the little girl's in a room, and you're, depending on what dialogue you choose and all this, she talks to you, and she gives you the key to her little lockbox.
Yep. And
there's all kinds of these drawings in it, and Kara's going through it, and it shows the dad beating Kara and breaking her, and it's a little uneasy, and then later, later that night, you make dinner, you're down there, you're doing all this, and he snaps because he's on some kind of meth or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you see stuff laying all around, and he comes up to you because the little girl gets upset and runs upstairs.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, bitch, you don't go anywhere, you stay right here. Well, that's when you can. And like I said, I played through twice. This is where you can decide whether to break protocol, and you actually have to break the wall down.
Yeah, so that's a big... this is the first time you see what happens inside an android's head when they break protocol, which protocol is anything their human tells them to do, right? Yep. And so you can break through this wall with Kara, or... you can not. You can just stand there like he tells you to.
Which, if you stand there, on the second playthrough, I just stood there. He comes down. Well, he beats the girl with the belt. Well, you end up actually going up there after it. And he's like, this is all your fault. And he kills you.
Yeah. Now, on both of our first playthroughs, we broke through the wall. I ended up going upstairs. Because he goes upstairs he's going to beat the little girl. Mm-hmm. Right? I end up going upstairs, going into his room, getting the gun.
That's what I did.
Rolling into the bedroom, and then I ended up killing the dad, and then I run off with the little girl.
Yep. See, that's what I did, and I watched some other playthroughs. There's one where because if you look out the window, when you run into her room, you can lock the door. Well, then you can decide you can either go out the window and escape that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Or go out the front. Well, then you get to choose front or back door. Right. Well, the person playing, and I watch them play through one, they chose, I think it was the front door. Well, he caught her, and button pushing back and forth. Well, he ended up killing Kara that way.
Oh, so you can still die.
Oh yeah, there's.
So that's 2 of the 3 characters. Then, on the first playthrough, we both ended up running off with the little girl.
Yep.
With Kara. Then you're introduced to Marcus, who's the 3rd android, and he ends up basically looking after this old guy.
Yeah, Marcus had quite a bit different story than.
Yeah, so he had a pretty good life for an android.
He was living the.
He just but you start out with him. You're on the street, and you have to go pick up some paint for the old man.
Yep.
And you get harassed by these people that they're like anti-android protesters or whatever.
Yep.
You end up getting on the bus and going back home to the old man. And then he sees that you kind of got beat up a little bit by these guys that harassed you. Then you find out he's a painter. The old man's a painter, and he's in this wheelchair. So Marcus kind of looks out after him. Then you end up doing your own painting, because the old man kind of pushes you to be like, hey, break protocol.
Yeah. He's really, and it kind of is interesting because it's basically he knew there was going to be an uprising. Maybe not to what extent it was, but he basically told Marcus, he's like, you're going to have to decide how you're going to handle this, if you're going to be the face of this, and that's where that's why he wanted him to paint. Because when you paint the first time, you get to pick, and he's like, you're not just copying something. He's like, I want something, and from your heart, basically. And Marcus is like, he's like, that's against my program. That's against my, I can't. He's like, just try. And then you have all different, I mean, it's a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, it's a cool scene, So you're going along with Marcus, and you think, well, this ain't too bad, Well, then the old man's son shows up,
which is a crackhead.
He's a crackhead, and he's wanting money from his dad.
He's a piece of shit.
And then he gets up in Marcus's face, and this is where the first big decision with Marcus is.
Yep.
So you break protocol, and then you can either push the sun's up in your face. You can either push him or just endure it. Yep. So my first playthrough, I pushed him.
I
think you endured.
I endured.
So what ends up happening? I push him. He falls, hits this machine, and breaks his neck.
Well, he deserved it.
And so he died. He did deserve it. But then the police come in and see Marcus there, that he just killed a human. So they shoot him in the head and in the body and several times. So what happens when you endure?
When you endure, it's back and forth. Well, he of course, the old man tells Marcus not to do anything. So I stood there, he pushed me, did this and that. Well, then, because you already called the cops. Well, the old man ended up having, he fell out of his chair. He's having a heart attack because he's upset because of the fighting. Well, I stood there. The cops showed up, and they thought I was the one that broke in. So they shot me.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh yeah. So
it ends up the same way.
Yeah, you basically. I don't know if there's a part. I don't know if there's a way you can handle it where you don't end up at the junkyard.
So, this game, I don't want to spoil it because it's new.
Yeah.
That's just the first setup for the 3 characters.
Yeah.
That's your first playthrough with them. And just talking about it right now, I want to go back and play the damn game.
I played 2 twice already. I'm debating about a third time.
But, so that's the setup. Connor goes on to investigate stuff. You meet this old, grizzled veteran cop who kind of turns out to be on the android side of things.
Yeah,
Kara runs off with the little girl. They try to flee to Canada because there's no android laws in Canada.
Yep. And there's just so many different ways to handle stuff, and
this one really. So we came from Indigo Prophecy, where if you went the wrong way, you got a game over. We went to Heavy Rain, where it wasn't really different until the end.
Yeah.
Detroit. Brent and I played. We had 2 completely different stories.
Yeah.
All 3 times we played, because you played through twice, I played through once.
Yeah.
All 3 of those were completely different stories.
Yeah. See, the first time I played through, I tried to do the right way.
Right.
Like the good decisions that me or you play. You know, if we were in that position, that's the decision you'd make.
Yep.
And then the second playthrough, I did just the opposite, and I couldn't believe how different the outcome was.
So it's crazy, you know. And then so that's, you know, Connor and Cara, and then Marcus ends up, you pick yourself up out of a junkyard with that is just a scrap pile of androids. It's old android parts that have been thrown away.
Yep.
These guys are all alive, and they tell you, one of them tells you to go to Jericho.
Yeah.
So then, you know, you kind of pick yourself up. You end up going to Jericho, which is kind of like this place where the androids are free. And then you end up basically leading the android rebellion.
Yep.
You become a leader in that. And I think Marcus is the most interesting character out of the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Cara was one. She's just protecting her child. Her kind of mother instincts took over. She seen, you know, and that was her against protocol, just taking, you know, just her goal was to protect the little girl. Now Marcus, you know, he had, you know, like I said, I agree with you there. He had I think he had the most interesting story because, like I said, I don't want to spoil much, but as whatever decisions you make, the fighting scenes and, you know, the back and forth. I mean, it was really good.
And then, you know, Cara kind of goes on her own little path, but Connor and Marcus end up, you know, meeting each other. Yep. And it can go a million different ways with that too. We won't spoil that here, right. But you know, we just kind of wanted to give you a setup of Detroit, and really, really recommend it for the graphics on the PS4 and just the experience of playing it. It's not like anything else you've ever played. I guarantee that.
No. Well, and then if you're Cara too, though, depending on your playthrough, you end up meeting Marcus.
Well, see, so you do. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, depending on
on your playthrough,
how you handle everything. Like I said, I don't want to spoil, you know, too much of it, but I would definitely recommend it. It's probably, I guarantee it's one of the best PS4 games you'll play.
And if you have a PS4 Pro, Brent and I don't, because we're not going to buy another damn PS4 after we just bought this one.
No.
But if you have a PS4 Pro, the graphics are enhanced even more, and it's really insane what they did there. But
so when it gets with PS4 though, and it aggravates me. They put out the PS4 Pro. Well then there's no sense in having a PS4 Pro if you don't have a 4K TV.
That's true.
So then you're spending. I mean, I have a 55-inch TV, so I'm going to spend probably $1,000 on a TV, plus $350 on a PS4. To me, and I didn't see a big enough when they showed God of War on it. I didn't see a big enough difference in the graphics.
Well, see,
now I heard it looks really good.
I don't see a difference in 1080p and 4K. You know, even though, I go to a 4K theater. Right?
Yeah,
we have 4K theaters around here. I don't really see much of a difference.
Yeah, I don't either.
So, you know, 4K, it's not really at a point where I'm willing to.
No.
You know, now I got a 1080p, TV back in the day because you could tell the difference.
Oh,
between,
yeah. You could tell a big difference.
A regular definition TV and a 1080p TV.
Don't get me started on Area 51, the tarp.
Oh, boy,
the
blue
tarp.
I figure we'll talk about that at some point. But guys, so that is our review basically of the Quantic Dream games. So of the three we've played, Brent, real quick, let's just go through and give them like a number rating out of 10.
Out of 10. Okay, I'm gonna say the lowest. I'm gonna start with Heavy Rain.
Okay.
Because to me that is the lowest.
That's the lowest. Still a great
game. I'd probably give it a 5.
A 5?
A 5.
A 5 out of 10.
A 5 out of 10.
Are you insane?
It was good. I loved it. But if I'm going out of 10, it's got to be my lowest.
See, I'm like an 8 for Heavy Rain.
An 8?
An 8.
An 8?
That was a great game.
I mean, it was good.
Maybe 7.5, 7.5, 8. I'm the 7.75.
See, oh man, see,
5? That's not even a pass.
Oh well,
5's not even a pass.
it's half.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
You're saying that a 5 out of 10 is like an average game. You're saying Heavy Rain's just an average game.
I'll withdraw. Okay.
No, you can't withdraw. You said 5 out of 10.
Now I feel bad.
You said 5 out of 10.
Fuck it, I'm rolling with it. 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10 on Heavy Rain. You're nuts. You're insane. I'm going 7.75.
Oh, now you put.
Okay, 8. I said 8.
I said 8. Now you can't change. You said 6.5. Yep, can't change.
I said 8. Roll the damn tape back. I said 8.
I don't even know how to roll it back.
So 8 out of 10 for me. 5 out of 10. You're insane. It's insanity.
I wasn't. I mean, it was a good game, but
it's a great game. You're crazy, man. Okay, Heavy Rain's the lowest. What's your next highest?
Man, it's tough.
It's tough between these two. They're really
tough.
Great
I'm
games.
going to give Indigo Prophecy second place.
Well, you giving it a 6?
No, I'm going to give it an 8.75.
Oh, now 8.75. Okay, so I'm giving Indigo Prophecy an 8.5.
8.5.
I'm with, so Heavy Rain's at an 8. Indigo Prophecy's at an 8.5.
Okay, and I'm going to give Detroit. I'm giving it a 10.
You're giving Detroit a 10.
I am, because honestly, on PS4, that is one of the best games I've played since the PS4 dropped. Detroit. I'm telling you, the only games that have really jumped out to me was God of War and Detroit this year.
Yeah,
that have really been just spectacular.
A couple years ago, it was The Witcher 3.
Yeah, Witcher 3.
Witcher 3 is a 10 for me.
Witcher 3 is a 10.
So I'll give Detroit a 9.5.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go there.
Like you said, I think you said it best. The experience. It's not just a typical you play through whatever. It's one of these games that it gave you. It was tough to make the decisions.
Yeah,
like you were stressed out. You're like, man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
and
you had time limits.
Yeah, you had time limits, and you had to get and like I said, I don't want to spoil anything.
The story is just the most interesting story.
It is
of all the games.
And you don't see, I would like to see PS4 or Sony or whatever the developer do more games like this where you have these branching storylines. And I think you said it best, the experience.
Yeah.
It's not just beating the story. It's playing through and making those tough decisions. Yeah. Like if you're in that position, how would you handle it?
Yeah, and it's just like I said and Brent said, it's a digital media experience. It's not I don't even know if you call it a video game.
Yeah,
honestly, it's just it kind of transcends that to me. So, Detroit Become Human. So here's our recommendation for this. PS2 on PS4, go buy Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah.
Get the Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls collection, and
I think it's like $20.
But even if you don't do those two things, go buy Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Because I'd really like to support this game and get it out there, get the word out that it's a really great game, and get more people to buy it so David Cage can keep making these games.
Yeah, because I mean he knows his shit and he does them right, and in a time where they just put stuff out and so they can make $1 or whatever. I don't know. It's just a really good story, and I can't tell you enough how. I mean, I really enjoyed playing that game.
Yeah, so that's our reviews of the Quantic Dream series of games. Probably one of our favorite studios outside of Santa Monica.
Yep.
So guys, just go. If you haven't checked out these games, please go check them out. So this has been the Couch Thoughts podcast for this week, episode 1, premiere episode. We'll be coming back. Right now, we're going to go play some PS4 game, A Way Out. So
2-player game,
2-player co-op game. You can also do online co-op. We're going to see how it goes. You break out of jail in the game together. We're going to see how that goes. We'll probably maybe at the beginning of the show next week we'll give a little review on that, first impressions of that game. So we're going to go play that now. Guys, until next week, this is, again, Couch Thoughts Podcast, episode 1. For right now, I'm going to be posting this on Podomatic. Then you have to submit to get on iTunes, so I'll be doing that. Eventually, we'll be on iTunes, Stitcher, all of those. For right now, you can hit us up on our Facebook, the Couch Thoughts Podcast. Look us up there. Twitter is Couch Thought Pod without an S, no thoughts. It's Couch Thought Pod. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook. I'm streaming some games on Twitch under the Couch Thoughts name. Check me out on Twitch, Couch Thoughts. Anyways, guys, till next week. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 on Heavy Rain.
I felt bad.
You crazy.